Again, I mentioned it's not a point in time. It's got to be sustainable, and it's about investing. You can hire the women in, but if you don't provide the environment and the talent base for the women to then do their best work, then you've failed. Because what will happen is then things like glass ceiling, discrimination, deliberate or otherwise happens. So you must have... Whoops, someone doesn't like what I'm saying. And consciously, you've got to look at career development. You've got to look at their career planning. So we're very conscious, both for our men and women, especially our leaders. We actually spot the talents very early, and we have very, very deliberate activities, exposures and opportunities. The other thing that I want to talk about is also the physical work environment. I talked about the fact that sometimes it is very important to realize that there is still barriers. And for our women, there was one stage, there's something that we take for granted now, but there was one stage we realized that our women were making choices, and sometimes the wrong choices they didn't want to make, and they left the workforce. I mentored a lot of young women who really, really wanted to stay on in the workforce, but didn't feel that they could, because they were feeling guilty whether they could be good mothers or not. And many wanted, in the early years to spend more time with their children. So the physical environment of a simple thing like providing a nursing room, exclusively, not just a spare room, but a nursing room that allowed our women to just, at certain points in time, be able to do to express their milk, or in some cases, some of them even have their children come in at certain times in the day to allow them to continue nursing. So these are things that just a little, space provision, but more importantly, the details of where that space, the privacy, and allowing that to happen actually allowed us to keep our women in the workforce. So we didn't do it just for the women, but we were able, therefore, to retain and maintain that talent base. But now it's something we take for granted. Other times, and it's not just for our women, because sometimes if you look at just, one of the things we worry about too is about intergenerational diversity. And again, it's about providing environment for our young to have a voice, because you'll be very surprised. You always think that the older folks struggle, but actually our young people tell us that their voices are not often taken seriously either. And the ability to then form environments, this one is not so physical, but communities that allow the young to, especially in Asian cultures, to voice their opinions more openly and share their ideas and be heard. Not just amongst the community was an important factor as well. So we now have councils led by students, councils led by young people, and in some of our markets like Korea and all that, we actually deliberately, because they never get the ideas up to the right levels because of that hierarchical approach. IT, not because I'm in IT, but I will tell you that it has been a wonderful, disruptive to some extent, but it's been a wonderful enabler for me to stay in the workforce. Because the fact that I can leave the office earlier and then be able to continue work when it is convenient for me, you can say, the company's milking us and using us, all hours, but it allowed me to do work when it was convenient for me. But it's not just about IT, it has to be about the policies as well. Because we're very performance-oriented, and that's an important factor. Because if you're just looking at physical presence in a certain place and location, then it's going to be tough. But policy also, and performance also, at a team level, not at an individual level. Because I hate this when they say, okay, I will allow you to take time off. I will allow you to work from home. I will allow you to do it. And your whole work group doesn't do it. Let me tell you this, whether it's said or it's not said, people think that person has special privileges. But so therefore, you must make the fact that working wherever you are, whether it's at home or not, but wherever you are, not out of the norm. It is common it's a work practice. And people focus on the outcome, whether it's a good meeting, a good conversation, quality conversation, then, and the people don't say, hey, where are you? Are you in the coffee shop? I can be in the coffee shop, but I'm still working. So these are things. I can be in the poolside and we're still working. I still remember the early days when we went mobile. People said, hey, are you at the swimming pool? Or are you ironing clothes? For the women, they actually ask you, are you doing your ironing? Terrible statement. But seriously, nobody asks those questions anymore. But it has to be at the work group level. Right? And We have policies that are very family-oriented, from healthcare policies, taking into consideration what matters to people at the family level, and not just for your children, but also for the rest of your family. Because yes, you may not be married, but you have parents that you care for, you have people, so we don't actually say it has to be, this or that particular relation. In fact, in some cases, we do recognize partners as well. And top of mind at the leadership level. I told you it has to be deliberate. Okay, my men always complain. They say, why so much privileges for the women? I says it's not about privileges. You have to understand that you have to provide it. So the guys now ask me, can we also participate? I says, of course. The problem is today's seminar would be a lot more effective if the guys joined us, because the diversity of ideas would have been greater. But then we have to get the guys there. I have the same problem in the company when I name it Women's Networking Session. Suddenly, it's like you have to drag the guys there because they're also scared.